Years ago, before TikTok was a thing, one of my big loves of the internet was internet essays, analysing media, letting me know all the little things I missed about what people love in film and TV. And that's still one of my great loves. A lot of the TikTokers I follow nowadays are people who do the same thing here. And one of the people whose work I loved the most from day one was Lindsay Ellis. I discovered her work 7 years ago with her video on Phantom of the Opera, specifically the bizarre Gerard Butler film adaptation of it. And her hour-long video, not only looking at the film itself, but also all of its many inspirations, really taught me a lot about cinema in general. And that turned out to be a major step from content which was general reviews of films into more in-depth analysis of how media informs on entire industries and on our society and psychology, which really peaked, I think, with her magnum opus, the 3-episode-long analysis of the Hobbit films. But I thought I'd lost that when a couple of years ago she said something a bit unfortunate on Twitter and ended up being confronted with a completely disproportionate and intense harassment campaign driving her offline and bringing an end to this YouTube series that I'd loved so much. Fortunately, there's lots of other YouTubers who work in similar topics and similar content, going deeper than just reviews into how media informs on us and we inform on our media. People like Jacob Geller, H. Bomber Guy, Super Eye Patch Wolf, Maggie May Fish, The Sphere Hunter, Abigail Thorne, and Folding Ideas all gave me so much content and so much better understanding when I look at media of what else it might be telling me. Not only what its creators intended to tell me and how to better identify what they're doing with how they're showing me their creations, but also what might be inspiring them and often what they unintentionally included, which tells us about them and their creation. These collection of video essayists really gave me a much more thorough media education so that I can better know and understand the context, biases, and language of our media. And it has genuinely made the experience of watching film and TV and playing video games significantly more interesting and engaging for me. Now, what I was delighted to see recently was that Lindsay Ellis is back. And she started returning to that strong point, which is what introduced me to this thriving realm of video essayists in the first place. And in her most recent video, I think it might be her best work yet, The Ballad of John and Yoko, in which, at its simplest, she analyzes, breaks down, and debunks the common myth that Yoko Ono broke up the Beatles. But this video wouldn't be worth talking about if it wasn't for the fact that it goes a lot deeper than just debunking a myth. Because if it was just that, or if it was just a history of the Beatles and a look into each of their characters, it would be a good video, but it wouldn't be incredible. And what really breaks it out of the mold is the fact that Lindsay goes into detail into not only the artistic movements that the Beatles and Yoko Ono were involved with, and the movements they were inspired by and inspired, but there is an entire section of the video which is basically a feature-length movie, which is entirely dedicated to our culture of celebrity and fame, and how it can destroy the lives of the very same people we see as being championed by it. And how so often we do not blame that culture that our society has created around celebrity and fame for the loss of so many people at such a young age. But instead, very often, our society blames the women in their lives. It infantilizes the celebrities who are lost. And rather than investigating how this culture is toxic and hurts so many people, instead we reinforce the biases and prejudices we already have. And from the 70s all the way to present day, those biases, those prejudices are often at the expense of women. And Lindsay Ellis draws a very compelling through line from Yoko Ono through Courtney Love all the way through to Amber Heard. And in doing so, presents probably the best analysis of celebrity culture and fame in the last 70 years that you can find on the internet. And if you can find others, I'd be delighted if you could link them to me, because I genuinely just love listening to intelligent and informed people explaining the links that they can see that I haven't worked out yet. So this essay isn't available on YouTube. Part of being driven off public platforms resulted in Lindsay Ellis only releasing her full videos on a new platform, Nebula. And this is a platform that includes content by basically all of the creators I mentioned earlier. It is a far superior platform for these creators who put a significant amount of work into their videos to be able to sustainably provide that content by working together on a subscription-based platform rather than having to work at the whims of the YouTube algorithm. Now you can find the first 10 minutes of Lindsay Ellis's video on YouTube, and I advise you to go seek it out and see if it's the kind of thing you're interested in. And if it is, consider trying a trial of Nebula, because if we can give a small amount every month and in exchange have this kind of high quality content provided by independent creators, that to me is a superior investment than basically any of the streaming platforms, because it is a more sustainable and creative model to support independent creators than to support mega corporations, who we have seen time and time again utterly destroying creativity, even stuff on their own platforms, if it means it gives them more profit. If you like my content, which is longer form on TikTok as it is, then there's a good chance you'll like theirs. So do seek out that preview video, do give Nebula a try. And if you do, I hope you feel like you've gained as much from it as I have. It's good seeing Lindsay Ellis back doing what she does best, but I'm always on the lookout for new creators who do that kind of work that I love watching so much. So if you know anyone who produces stuff like that, like the creators I listed earlier, please do let me know. Thanks for listening.